Hey, it's Drybear. And today I want to dedicate a video, since we are very close to global launch, full release of the game, to talking about fast leveling techniques, recapping what we've seen from the Race to World First 100 in hardcore and softcore, and some things that you should know about to make sure that you're getting the most out of your leveling experience. But first, you should come hang out with me on my live stream. I'm live every single day on twitch.tv/Drybear. We're also going to be starting with drops Monday, June 5th at 7 p.m. Eastern. There are 4 cosmetics you can get by watching my channel. And if you gift 2 subs to my channel, you will get a mount unlock in the game, which looks pretty cool. All right, let's talk about everything there is to know about leveling, how you can maximize it, how you can speed level, and some of the emerging techniques and methods that we've learned from everyone in the world pushing as hard as they can to level as fast as they can. However, I'm going to slap a big, fat, massive disclaimer on this. Do not let anyone tell you how to play the game. Diablo 4 is awesome. I'm having a blast with it. I'm really, really enjoying the game. And I think that if you are not someone who has a reason to speed level aggressively, do not let anyone guilt trip you into it. Enjoy the game. If you want to go collect every Lilith statue, look under every rock and behind every tree, do so. Have fun. Enjoy yourself. That's what games are for. They're supposed to be fun. But I wanted to make this video for the people that do want to level fast and want to make sure that they're spending their time wisely. The first thing to talk about when it comes to leveling is going to be your campaign. This is going to be your primary focus. I think you can actually just spend time. You start here in the Fractured Peaks and you go through all the different areas. If you do nothing but the campaign, you can speed through it and end up at level 25 at the fastest. But most people, I think, will be anywhere from 35 to 45 when they do the story. There are a few approaches to doing story progression. There's 2 major benefits for pushing the main story, which is going to be your level quest here, right here. So the yellow quests. The 2 main benefits to pushing the main story as fast as you can is, one, at around the end of Act 4, when you go back to Kyovashad after Kel'Jistan, you can actually pick up your mount. Mounts are super useful. You can mount up in town. You can use them to move quickly through areas. You can mount and dismount very fast, and it gives you movement that helps you clear the maps. It's not required, it's just nice to have, and that's one of the benefits of clearing the main campaign. The other benefit is there are major events on the world that only unlock once you've completed the main campaign. Things like Helltide, the bounty system, Tree of Whispers, and then some of these area zones as well. But also, you can't do world bosses until you complete the main story on top of that. So doing the campaign means you can do the world bosses. It's a weekly loot thing, so as long as you get it before reset, you're good to go. So doing the main story is one progress. However, you can also just go around and do renown. One thing about renown is you can actually get a significant amount of XP just by collecting it. You get XP for grabbing waypoints, for finishing strongholds, for finishing side quests, for opening up areas, for doing side dungeons, for finding altars of Lilith. All of that, you get added XP from that. And then you also get the XP from the activities itself. So all that put together, like I started out by doing just renown. I did most of the renown for Act 1 for the first zone and the second zone. And I got to about level 30 without even getting halfway through Act 2. So you can get insane amounts of XP from this. And so that's kind of the big thing there. Your big goal blockers are going to be at level 50 and level 70. So plus the campaign. So the campaign locks you out from in-game content, including world bosses. And also is where you get your mount. It's part of the main story, so you'll get it in Kyovashad towards the end of Act 4 is when you get your mount. At level 50 is when you can unlock your capstone dungeon. So normally you can only go to World Tier 1 and World Tier 2, and that will lock out the loot that you can get. Once you get to level 50, you can do your capstone dungeon here in Kyovashad, which unlocks World Tier 3, your nightmare difficulty. That's when you start getting your Sacred, which is a modifier that scales up all the gear that you get, and it allows you to do nightmare dungeons and endgame content, and even finish out Renown. Like these last 2 tiers of Renown are only available once you have unlocked World Tier 3. So getting to 50 super fast is really good. And then getting to 70 is also really nice. That's when you do your next capstone dungeon. This unlocks Ancestral and allows you to go higher than Nightmare 20 dungeons, where I'm stuck right now. You can only go up to 20 for Tier 3. You have to get to Tier 4 to go up to 100, and you get other activities from that as well. So those are the benefits from leveling. I do think that play the way you want, and you'll get plenty of value. Like if you just do Renown in the main story, you'll hit 50 in no time. It's very straightforward, and it's not that less efficient than normal methods to try and speed boost. But let's talk about the speed boosting aspects that are really being learned right now about methods for leveling. I'm going to tell you first, let's just start with the best one that we've seen so far, which is group leveling in dungeons that have high density and low levels of randomness. The best dungeon that we know of right now is going to be here in Dry Steppes. It is Champion's Demise. What's great about this dungeon is it has insanely high mob density. It's open, so it's not an indoor dungeon, it's an outdoor dungeon. And what's great about it is the layout, the first layout of the dungeon is not randomized much at all. It has 3 branching paths. So apologies for not getting you perfect gameplay for all these. I'm still rushing leveling myself, but the layout for Champion's Demise looks like this. You have this pathway that comes in like this, and it opens up into this middle area in the middle, and there's 3 pedestals that you have to get stone tablets for in the very middle of this junction. Then what happens is this branches out into 3 large, high-density mob zones that have tons of mobs and elites and rares and everything in there. So what people are doing is they're getting groups of 4, and then they're having it so that one person goes into this area, one person goes into this area, one person goes into this area. They clear everything as fast as they can, and then while they're doing that, the 4th person will go out and reset the dungeon, and then they'll be able to join with them to do that as well. So this is insanely fast leveling. Right now, you get a very big bonus in XP for grouping. So if you want to group, you're going to level faster in general, and you can also just slam dungeons over and over and over to get the most amount of XP. But what's great about this one is this one just has high density, and you can split up. And as long as you're in the same dungeon, it looks like there's no limit to how far you can be where you still get XP. As long as you're in the same dungeon instance, the person over here is still getting XP from the person over here. So you can speed clear this whole area and then reset. The way they are resetting right now, if you're looking for the fastest way to do it, is you join a party. When you're in a dungeon, you can leave dungeon, but that takes a little bit longer. What they found for the fastest way for leveling right now is to join a party of 4, clear out the dungeon, and then when you're done and ready to reset, you just go ahead and you hit escape and you leave the party, right? So you leave party. When you leave the party, when you're in a party, it will boot you out of the instance to the front. So the one person leaves the party, it boots them out. And since it's not their instance anymore, if they get booted out and immediately zone back into the dungeon, then it'll be a brand new dungeon. So what they do is they finish the dungeon as fast as they can, leave the party, leave and zone out. Then the person joins into the dungeon again. Everyone that was in the original party leaves that party and joins that person's new party, which means they join the new instance, they all come back in, and everyone else only has to zone once because they're already in the dungeon. They just have to rezone into the dungeon, and then only one person has to zone twice, where they zone out of the dungeon and zone back in. And they just do that on repeat. There are people that are already level 100 doing this, and it's pretty straightforward and easy to do. Remember, dungeons always scale with the party leader. So whoever is the leader, that's the level it's going to be, and it does scale with you every time you level up. It's going to keep getting stronger with you, and you keep doing it and keep doing it. There's a couple decent dungeons in Tier 1 as well, and there's some decent dungeons as well over in Kyrgyzstan. A lot of the Hawazar dungeons are pretty rough, I'll be honest, and some of the Skazglin and then top, like Dry Steppes ones are pretty rough. But those are the ones that we know about right now. So to recap, you are focusing on group play. Group is significantly faster than single player. You also want to be focused on repeatable content that you can do. If you're looking for the next step, right? I don't want to leave you on just, hey, here's what the world first is doing, that we'll be able to push the highest possible XP. If you're a solo player like me and you're just trying to level normally, keep in mind that you do still have to level your glyphs. You still have to get gear. You still have to level your glyphs. You still have to do all that stuff. So the most reasonable aspect for leveling is going to be nightmare dungeons. That is the next best way to do it outside of group content. You can even group the nightmare dungeons. But the reason you want to do this is because you have to level your glyphs and you get loot from it. So what you want to do is you want to find like some decent dungeons that have affixes that are reasonable for you. I'll make a separate video going over nightmare dungeons and how they work. But just get your point, get a tier level for the nightmare dungeons that for you is clearable and comfortable, and you can clear it at a very reasonable pace, and just clear those over and over. You'll get amazing gear, super awesome drops. I've gotten like 8 uniques so far just sitting around doing it, right? So it's like been very straightforward and easy for me. like just running nightmare dungeons to level. I'm 61 right now. I have a full stash of legendaries, and I have all of these uniques that have dropped, most of them sacred and really good stat rolls on them as well. So you can get some very good loot. You can build out, what I'm trying to do is build out the aspects that I need for all the builds that I want to make, as well as very well rolled yellows. So all of these have good rolls on them. They're max eye level or close to it, and they have all the stats that I would want. Very good rolls. So I'm keeping an eye out for good yellows I can use for modifying with aspects. Get all the legendaries you need with good values. They can either extract or you can just use outright if they're good enough, and then you collect all your uniques. But this, I think, is the next best thing to group leveling in a dungeon, is just do nightmare dungeons over and over and do your renown. Hit level 50, finish the campaign, unlock world tier 3, go into world tier 3 and just do your renown. Go around, get your Lilith statues, do all the dungeons, do all of the exploration, get all the waypoints and the side quests and the strongholds, and you'll level at a comparable speed to anything other than just maximum insane. Another tip that I learned as well is when you do nightmare dungeons and it marks a dungeon you haven't completed, you'll still get the reward for it. So you can even just do nightmare dungeons to complete your renown, because you'll eventually get nightmare sigils for all of the dungeons in the game. So eventually you'll just have them all done because you'll be doing it through the nightmare system. So all of that works really well. So good luck out there. If you're looking for leveling builds, I have leveling builds for every single class on my channel. I'll probably be doing some updated leveling builds after I optimize and progress and re-level those classes all the way up to max with some lessons learned and things like that. But I wanted to get this video out for people that are trying to get into the launch and play the game and level all the different options out there. So enjoy, the game's great. I hope you have a good day. Come hang out with me on stream. If you enjoyed yourself today, leave a like down below. You can support me and my work on Patreon and view Patreon exclusive content, link in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next one.